Big news today as the Seminoles land Earl Little, a transfer defensive back from Alabama. Earl transfers in as a cornerback, 186 pounds, 6'1", originally played high school at American Heritage High School in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Was in the 2022 recruiting class, so has played at Bama for a couple of years. Was originally a 4-star in high school on the 247 composite rankings, 106 nationally, so really talented kid. Obviously, DB going to Alabama, going to be really, really talented there. 10th ranked kid in Florida. In the transfer portal, also a 4-star, so you are picking up a pretty good, highly thought of transfer. 11th ranked cornerback in the portal, and somebody who I think you can absolutely use. Earl got most of his work done on special teams, did play a little bit depth-wise, rotationally at Alabama, but somebody I think you need. Earl Little, a big pickup, a guy that, kids transfer from Alabama, and a lot of teams go after him and really want him. Florida State did a really good job of pouncing here, going after a talented prospect and making sure that they locked it up. Saw action in 3 games during the 2022 season, so pretty limited there. In the 2023 season, played in 8 of Alabama's games. Obviously, they're super deep. Did have a few stats. Not a ton. We're not going to hype up the fact that he's just a stat machine at this point in his career for the Crimson Tide, but I do think that he can be big for the Noles, who lose a couple of really talented corners, and they'll need to find somebody to fill in those roles, both left by Bernardo Green, Jarian Jones. I think you've got a good, talented core there, but you need to add depth. You need to add more pieces, and Earl Little could certainly come in and take over a starting spot. He could certainly come in and be a very nice rotational piece for you. Son of former NFL player Earl Little. Always like that, always like somebody who kind of understands the grind, understands just what it takes to get where you want to go, and has been raised in that NFL bubble, in that NFL culture. It is a commitment, and I really don't ever have to worry about DB recruiting at Florida State right now. I think what Pat Surtain doing is really impressive. I really like what he has brought to this staff, and really the development we've already seen from him just working there for, less than a year at this point, but it's getting up close to his 1-year anniversary. And then obviously the recruiting that's happened there as well. Pat Surtain has been phenomenal for the Noles, and it's really exciting to see more and more and more commitments, transfers, whatever, that room continue to grow, develop, and be better. Obviously, ties with South Florida is something that's really big. Pat Surtain brings you that, and you get a kid who was originally at American Heritage High School. I don't think there's a huge coincidence there. Obviously, a pretty easy sell. And I think what Pat Surtain sells is one of the best messages, one of the best possible pitches that any coach that coaches defensive backs in America could potentially sell. And you know what his son has done. You know what he's done as a high school coach. You know what Pat did in the NFL. It's pretty special to see, and recruits seem to be buying it. You're not whiffing on a lot of DB recruits. I know that you're not going to hit on every single kid, but they've done a really good job in that room. It is a commitment, and so we have our battles in quarter zip out. Hey, they have a white quarter zip that you need to go check out if you haven't already, but shout out the battles in. If you're not a member, you need to go consider signing up today. It is Florida State's NIL collective. We can certainly get you more information on that. If you just go to our channel and search NIL, we've probably done 6 videos on them specifically. Go check out thebattlesin.com. It's how Florida State remains competitive in the transfer portal, in the recruiting world. Obviously, relationships mean an entire ton, but you're not landing kids. You're not getting talented players from Alabama, LSU, wherever, without having a solid NIL program. Ingram Smith and the guys over there do a phenomenal job. They're up over 5,000 members. Really need to push that up closer to 6 as soon as we can. We will get thousands and thousands and thousands of people who watch this, maybe 10,000 views. So a lot of you guys are not members yet. I'm calling you out. Go join thebattlesin.com. Help Florida State continue to add elite talent like this. Mentioned the loss of Jarian Jones, Renardo Green. I do like the young talent that is in that room. I say young talent, but Azariah Thomas will be a junior this year. He'll enter his third year, and I really like what he brings to Florida State's DB room. I know that a lot of people were expecting more out of Fentrell Cypress this year. He came in pretty highly touted, and don't know that he necessarily had the year that people thought that he was going to have. I really like the young guys in that room. Quindarius, I love Edwin Joseph. There's some really good young talent in the secondary just overall. Greedy Vance likely going to be back as well. And so, I really, really like where the Seminoles sit from a defensive back perspective. But when you can add talent like this, when you can add another cornerback who has played in the SEC, who has played for Nick Saban, who has been in that room and learned and developed, you don't have to question, oh, man, how has his development been from a strength and conditioning perspective? Obviously, Alabama, one of the best in the country. Anytime you can add to that room and do it with a 4-star prospect. Most guys, when they enter the transfer portal, are 3 stars. Most guys, when they enter the transfer portal, get bumped way down. Earl Little still thought of as very, very talented and a recruit that a lot of people want to go after. And so getting him and adding him to your room is huge. And again, with Pat Surtain, with Mike Norvell, I never really worry about defensive backs. I really feel confident that they will recruit and develop super well there. They've continued to show that they're able to do that. They've continued to show that they're able to stack talent in that room. Pat's been on campus for 12 months now, not even a full 12 months. And I'll tell you, DB recruiting is probably one of my my smallest worries when it comes to Florida State recruiting. And so massive shout out to Pat Surtain, massive shout out to Mike Norvell, obviously hired Pat, and really the entire defensive staff for getting this done. Adam Fuller has something to do with it too. I think they do a really good job of selling the program, selling the vision at the defensive back level. Certainly been critical of recruiting at other positions, and I'm hoping that recruiting at other positions can kind of take off and kind of match what we're seeing from the defensive backs. The defensive back recruiting is certainly carrying this defense right now. It is certainly the best part of recruiting when it comes to defense. And the other 3 positions really are lacking and need to get better. And this is an exciting video. This is a pump-up video, a hype video, because we're excited that we got a commitment. So I'm not trying to bring us down too much in the dumps, but I do want to say, man, if we could get all 4 positions, defensive end, defensive tackle, linebacker, and defensive back, all kind of flowing at the same time, all kind of landing elite talent at the same time, I think we'd be in a really, really special place. But I won't rant so much on that. I will tell you, we mentioned this to our Patreon members a few days ago, told them that this would likely happen. If you haven't joined that yet, you should. Patreon.com/DFNS so that you can get access to inside info and know about news on the Noles before it drops. Hey, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you guys for watching the channel. Again, Noles pick up Earl Little, defensive back, cornerback transfer from Alabama. We will continue to break down his game, and we will talk to you guys soon. Go Noles.